Hello YouTube, this is Aiden here, and today we're going to be looking at a really easy way to just make some pretty fantastic GUIs within the Java programming language. So what we're going to be looking at is the JSML GUI Framework. So if you go to swing markup library.esy.es, this is my website. This is a GUI, this is framework completely created entirely by me, and I'm going to show you guys how to be using it and all the different cool features that you can do with it. So it's not meant to be better than Java Swing, but it's meant to have all the same functionality and to be much easier to use. So if you guys are beginner programmers or you just want to have easier time using GUIs, then definitely check this out. It also makes it a lot nicer to make things look nice in Swing, and also has a few more aesthetic features in Swing. So we're looking at today. These videos do require, I would like, before you watch these, I'm going to assume that you guys have experience with Java, because I'm not going to be teaching you guys basic Java during these videos. You're going to have to assume that you know that. So this video we're going to be looking at just kind of getting started with my framework. So if you check out my website, I'll have the link in the description. There's all kinds of documentation and tutorials on here. There's also example code you can download, as well as like the official grammar and all the content. There's also the downloads here. So today I'm going to be showing you the tutorials. I'm going to be showing you we're going to be with the version 1.1 of the framework, which is currently in alpha. By the time you're watching this video, it might not be anymore, but you can also use, all this stuff will still work with version 1.0, but version 1.1 is pretty stable and will probably be recommended pretty soon, so tutorials are going to be using that version. So yeah, you guys can go ahead and click on this and download it and all that good stuff, and then put it somewhere permanent. The other thing you guys might need is Eclipse. If you don't have Eclipse, Eclipse, you can come to eclipse.org and download it from here. So check the download page, just get your usual Eclipse IDE for Java developers up here and download that. Assuming you don't already have that, most Java developers that I know already have Eclipse. So once you've got that all set, I want to make a new project. So I'm going to make a new Java project. I'm going to call it tutorial. And in here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to properties, Java build path, add external jars, and then in here is where I have my swing markup the jar here. So this is what you would have downloaded from my website. It is all set. I'm assuming you guys have probably used libraries before, but because you haven't, this is how you do it. You just properties, build path, add external jars, and then navigate to where you put this on your computer and hit OK. So now if you look down here, and you look, it should have a little reference libraries tab, and it should have that in it. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to make a new package. I'll call it tutorial. You guys can use regular package naming. I can call it com.theloneblaze. This is my website, .tutorial. And in here we're going to put, alright, so we're going to need 2 Java classes to use this. Should know that the framework does use Java for handling the logic and to get set up, but then uses a different language called JSML for writing the GUIs themselves. So when I make a class, I'm just going to call it main. And in this class, I'm going to make another class first. I call it new class. This is going to be called controller. This is going to handle the logic. And then main will get everything started. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and implement the starting point interface. Your imports might be a little different because I'm using my own local version. The package names will probably be different for you, so it'll be something starting point. But other than that, everything will be the same. And then, so here we go. We got 2 methods. So initialize and launch. We're going to talk about a little bit more about this later, about the launch method anyway. So initialize is going to have all of the code that we're going to do to initialize everything, and then the launch method will have the code that needs to be called right upon launch. So up here, I'm going to make a public main, just a constructor to simplify things here. And in this constructor, have window to new window, and then we're gonna pass in this. Oopsie, this. So yeah, again, your guys' imports will probably be different, but the window class will be the same. So the window constructor takes an instance of the starting point interface. So if you don't implement the starting point interface, you're not going to be able to do this. And then you also want to call in here window dot set ready. All right, so now we need a few methods to kind of get everything set up, as well as a few more files. So before I do that, though, I'm going to make myself a public static void main string args. So that will be there, and then in here I'm going to say main new main. So now the main methods here. I'm also going to add suppress warnings unused. So this just makes it so it doesn't give me that little error in Eclipse. So what this does is I'm just calling the constructor, obviously, and so over here I'm just going to get this code executed. That way I can use this in a static context. So yeah, that's all I'm going to do for now. And then before we move on to calling some of the other code that we're going to need, I'm going to make a few more files. So I'll make a new file. This one's going to be called, I'm just going to call it layout dot. Actually, I want to put these files. Yeah, okay, that should work. New file layout.jsml. So this you can call whatever you want. It needs to be .jsml, and this is where we're going to put the actual code for the GUI. We also need new file. I'm going to call this definition.jsdef, and in here we're going to put some of the more global characteristics of the GUI. And finally, we need you don't need this, but you should have it. File, and then I'm going to call it styles dot style, I think. So that'll work. So this is the style sheet, which is going to contain the aesthetic components, kind of like HTML, CSS type idea. And then the definition is going to contain global stuff. And then yeah, so that's what these. And then the layout itself contains like all of your base widgets and content and whatnot. So in the initialize method, we're going to call controller. Actually no. So we're going to say. Actually, yeah, I'm going to do this. Window. Just so I can access the window from all my methods. A little burp on my part. Stop window. Set ready. Okay. So we're going to say this window set controller to a new controller. So that's just setting the controller up. That's usually the first thing I do. You don't have to. It's going to give us an error, and that's because when we go to controller, we're going to extend window controller. And again, your imports are going to be different for there too. So yeah, we're going to want to do that. That's how it knows, and so now the error should go away. Okay, and now we're going to want to this window set window definition, and then you're going to want the name of the definition file that we made earlier. So definition.jsdef. If you have these files in a package somewhere or in a folder, you're going to want the entire path before that. But if you just have them directly within your project folder, then you don't need that. We're going to add our layout resource. So this window add layout resource, and then that should work, right? No errors. Yeah, okay. And we're going to layout.jsml is even going there. Oopsie. And then this window set layout style sheet, and then this is going to be styles.style. And that is cool. What else do we need to do? Oh yes, so the thing. Okay, yeah. So to recap, these methods are just setting the files that we're going to be using to create our GUI. This just sets the controller, which is going to handle any events. So when a button is clicked, that goes to the controller. When anything happens on the screen, when a mouse is right-clicked or you're trying to scroll or zoom, all that stuff goes to the controller. And so that's why we have that. And finally, I'll explain this. So this window.setReady here, what that does is the window in the well, your main class here in this example have sort of an asynchronous relationship, meaning that it's the main class will send something to the window, but has to wait for the window to reply back to have anything. So what this method here is doing is saying, okay, it's telling the window, I'm ready for you to launch everything, and then the window will take its time to whenever it needed. It doesn't really take that long, and it will go ahead and read all this stuff and launch the application. So that should be everything we need here. And by the way, anything that you want to happen immediately upon the launching of the GUI should go in this, because the window will call this method. So yeah, so when you do window.setReady, the window is going to call initialize, and it's going to call launch as it launches the GUI. So because you're setting a starting point, so the starting point interface has two methods, initialize and launch, so you're passing the main class into the window, so it accesses only these two methods, launch and initialize. Anything else is not accessible by the window. Alright, so let's go ahead and get ourselves something we can launch. So in the definition file, this is the first thing you want to do. And I think we only need a few things in here. So you're going to want to define the size first. So width equals, and then brackets like this, and I'll make this 400 wide. This is in pixels. So you want to do, basically how this works is like you have your element, which is like width, and then you have an equal sign, and then you have in brackets a value. So in this case, you're saying the width of the GUI is 400 pixels. And then height is going to be equal to 400 as well, make it a square. Resizable is equal to false. I don't want people resizing this. And then title is going to be called tutorial underscore window. And finally, we need orientation basic. Or I'll go ahead and do, yeah, I'll just do a basic for now. Alright, so the first two are pretty obvious. They define the size, like we said. And then resizable is like whether or not you can change the size of the window by like clicking the little square or like dragging on the sides. So I'm set that to false, so it will always be 400 by 400. And the title is what comes at the top. So in this case, it's a tutorial window. And you should note that the underscore will not actually show up. It'll look like this on top. But if you add a space there, it messes with the parser. So you want to have all spaces that you want to have replaced by underscores. And if you want an underscore, well then, too bad. And orientation is going to be basic. So there are all kinds of different orientations. We'll talk about that more in the future tutorial. So that's all we need for here. And I think if we try to run this now, we'll get an error. May be wrong. Okay. What is this? Oh, my bad. Yeah, so we have a little bit of a window here. Oh, that's strange. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyways, so we have a 400 by 400 window. And you'll notice that I apparently lied. And, oops, sorry. It did not replace the underscore with a space. Curious. I wonder if we can do this that. Maybe we can, because in this situation it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that works. Okay. Yeah, apparently that does not apply to the JSDef files, the whole underscore space thing. It does apply to the JSML files and the style sheet. So, yeah. In this file case, you don't have to, apparently. Alright, so we have a basic window, you'll notice, and it has 400 by 400. It is not resizable. You notice I can't click that, and I can't drag in the sides. And it has its title that we said, and it has an orientation of basic. So that's cool. So I think that's going to be all for this tutorial, guys. I just got a few basic things going on. We figured out how to do that. I really do. I do want you guys to go and check out what my website here and look at the tutorials, because the tutorials take you through a few things. If they load, yeah, here they go. So there you have some nice tutorials here and good stuff. However, everything's in the tutorials on the website I do cover in my video tutorials, so you should note that. And then it also has more information, and you can download everything. And there's also like the official grammar if you want to know how everything works. And there is like content listings, so you can have everything that there is and good stuff like that, as well as my tutorials are on this website if you didn't access them through it. So yeah, that's all for this video, guys.